Good morning. No, I'm not on my bike. I've hurt my wrist, so instead I'm going to talk about something utterly ridiculous that one of my viewers has mentioned in comments. His comment was, I'd rather die than ride an e-bike. Now, of course, I think that statement's completely ridiculous, but it does tap into something which I think a lot of people feel, that e-bikes are only for people who have got some malaise. Maybe they got a dicky knee, or maybe they're recovering from cancer, or there's some problem with them which means that they can't ride a real bike. And the point I'd like to get across today is that that is total bollocks. So firstly, I think there's a misconception about how much energy an e-bike gives you, how much it puts into your ride. The first thing is it's variable. It's up to you how high you have the settings and how much energy you yourself put into a ride. If you want to, you could go up Mont Ventoux on an e-bike and arrive at the top every bit as knackered as someone without an e-bike. But the point is that you would be able to get to the top of Mont Ventoux. They just allow you to do a little bit more than otherwise you might have been capable of. But the best thing of all is that e-bikes encourage you to get out more often and to ride further. There's been studies that actually prove that a rider on an e-bike will go out more often in terms of how many times per week and how lengthy their rides will be. So my contention is that every rider could benefit from having an e-bike. There are a few exceptions. If you are a super fit cyclist, there's just no need. There's just no need to have one. You can fly up mountains like Jonas Vingegaard. We struggled with Tadej Pogacar. Now we've got Jonas Vingegaard. Anyway, I had a viewer who said that he complained actually he'd rather die than ride an e-bike. And I thought, do people really believe that? I did actually write back to him. I deleted his comment, but I wrote back to him first and asked him really what on earth he was talking about. He said, well, it's cheating. I mean, it's a cliche. You just hear that so often. Who are you cheating? Who am I cheating by riding an e-bike? I get knackered on my e-bike. My heart is pounding on my e-bike. I get really out of puff on my e-bike. I walk my bike when it gets too steep. It's not some magical cure that allows you to do anything you want to do on a bike. But what it does do, it gets you out. It gets you out on your bike. It gets you out in the outdoors. It's an incredible thing for mental health. I was doing the research that I can't now remember, which is why I was struggling to make this video. But the research is there. If you're outdoors, it's good for your mental well-being. If you're exercising, it's better. If you're doing aerobic activity outside, it's better. If you're doing team sports outdoors as an aerobic activity, it's better. So you can imagine just how good it is to go out with some mates on your bike outdoors and go for a ride. Guy's an absolute idiot. But what I wanted to talk about was that people say that e-bikes are, well, when I get a bit older, when I'm not as capable, or my knee's gone, so maybe I'll think about getting an e-bike. I actually got an e-bike because I was recovering from cancer. I'm recovered. That's behind me. I still ride my e-bike because I bloody love it. It gets me out there. You know, I did 10,000 kilometres last year. The year before I did 5. The year before that I did 2. It encourages you to do more, to ride more, to get out there. I can't see what the harm in an e-bike is. But even if you're a pretty good cyclist, maybe you're riding those sorts of distances anyway, but you're going to struggle up some of the mountains. You will. Why not use an e-bike? Because then you'll be riding up those mountains, the ones that maybe you've been putting off. You might even do a holiday somewhere. Pennines, Peak District, somewhere that's up. Never even contemplate it on the bike you've got. Have a go with an e-bike. Hire one, borrow one. See what I mean? They are absolutely superb machines. You'd rather die than go on an e-bike? You're a fool. So all the research I did for this one, I can't remember it offhand. I won't be able to give you the exact details, but for example, commuting reduces stress if you're on a bike. You'll suffer less stress if you've ridden into work than if you've used any other form of transport. So there's that. Excuse me. That was my notes that I'm now not using, flying away in the wind. But from what I can remember, there were some really weird ones as well. If you cycle into work 5 times a week as opposed to 4 times a week, your stress levels are reduced by 16%. It's a weird one. It means you don't get Fridays off, you go in there anyway. And there's some such obvious things as well. So this channel is about me going out on cycling adventures. Some of those cycling adventures are flat. I don't need an e-bike. Some of them are up mountains. I'm hoping that you'd rather see me up a mountain than every single ride being flat, because that's what I'd be doing. If I didn't have an e-bike, I'd have a go at getting up some of those mountains. I'd get halfway up maybe, get out of puff. There'd be lots of videos of me retreating back down the mountain, exhausted. I get exhausted anyway, but I get to the top of the mountain. Why wouldn't you have an e-bike? Now, a lot of the problem is expense. They are hugely expensive things, but it's possible to use, well, there are some cheap Chinese conversion kits. They start at about 400 quid. I suppose it would be possible to buy a second-hand one, but I'd be surprised if anyone would want to give up their kit once they fitted it, because e-bikes are brilliant. But the point is that what does it matter what it looks like? What matters is how it feels like when you're out on a bike, up a hill that you wouldn't have done before. Because you're more likely to go riding on an e-bike, the general benefits of cycling occur more frequently. Now, one in 4 of us are likely to experience mental health issues, according to the charity Mind. Cycling improves our sense of well-being, whether that's in reducing the day-to-day stress or helping to counteract the symptoms of our underlying condition. So for those of us with medical conditions, yeah, e-bikes are great. They do reduce the stresses and strains on your joints. So if you have a bad hip or a knee or an ankle, it means an e-bike will allow you to ride. Also, it places less stress and strain on the heart. Your heart will beat slower on an e-bike. So, Findus 500, if you're watching this video, if you can bear to watch my e-bike videos rather than dying, just bear in mind that your opinions aren't necessarily the right opinions. They're just your opinions. So keep them to yourself. And for almost everyone else, get an e-bike, go on long adventures, and get out there more often. Thanks for watching.